still an essential thing to the human growth or the human development. Why do I say that? In fact, that's what I have seen, or that I've experienced as times goes on. If you are deeply into religion and you feel offended by my approach, I don't blame you. As I said, it's mostly because people get possessive with their religion and culture, and sometimes to the extent that they even end up doing the damaging things, because there is even that advices there, which also makes the religion itself become very equally violent, in seeing violence as a means of protecting itself. Now, and I said it before from the previous video. I mean, if you think that you have to protect yourself or defend yourself, it's fine. I mean, we all defend ourselves, even though I may have my viewpoint. But if we want to be together to say no to something instead of saying yes to something, I mean, we can say yes to good things, but if we want to say no to something which is bad, we have to say it together. We have to come to that point realizing that no. Because if I say I'm going to defend myself, if you hit me and I hit you, you hit me and I hit you, I'm defending myself anyway. He is also defending himself. And we are all defending ourselves. That's how we see it. It's the same thing like fighting, or it's the same thing like what we call violence. Violence is in the same format and the same method. You don't see violence as something regarding somebody hitting somebody and the other opponent is not hitting back. Violence is about doing something to the person, and both of you in that same grounds of which nobody is willing to give in. You stand and you sort of try to express your anger in so many ways, and sometimes it becomes very deadly. Sometimes the person tries to not necessarily defend, but hide himself or herself from the situation which he is not able to handle. That is, if it's beyond the person. You understand? But if that isn't the case, where you are not even able to handle yourself and you are hiding, or you sort of, that's in a sense, it's like you're being defeated. So that's a different ways that we wouldn't touch too much on it. But the evilness in it is because of what people has imagined it or created around or centered around religion and culture. It is something which has invited spirits into our life. Now, to me, spirit, as far as this realm, the human realm is concerned, is an alien to the physical realm. It's an alien because it may be spirit being there for us, but spirit beings have their own habitat to sort of where they evolve, or they sort of make themselves that they are supposed to sort of embrace or accept. But we choose to go that far because when a man is desperate and a man is in a situation where he needs something and he can't get any help, neither has he got any ways of which to go, he then puts his imaginative state to become very active. And when your imaginative state or imaginative mental mind, that ability there within becomes so active, you then are now in a state where I'll say meditationally you are communicating in your own brains, and in that state it has some effect which we have all come to realize that it invites the unseen divine beings, or the unseen spirit, or what we'll say spirit today. It sort of drives you to the core of which you don't easily reach. The core of your being that you don't normally reach. So it's like you will be communicating inner within you, and these are the places where within you is where the possession is. It's something that you and I, no person has discovered. We haven't been able to discover how life is, or where life is in the body. We only know from these same religious suggestions that the blood, especially in the Bible, it is written that the blood I think in the book of Deuteronomy, in the blood of a human being or an animal, the blood in you is life. But as to whether in the blood there is life, that is the whole thing to talk about, and we haven't really discovered what life really is. But what I am raising here is the attributes of life or the signs of life. That is what we do every day. These are all some of the attributes. These are some of the signs, that reflects any living person, the things that you do, your up and downs, you go in your thoughts, all the things, and those are the activities of life. But life itself, or the engine of life, whatever way it is, it has not necessarily been discovered. But I am talking about the activities of life, which reflects or gives us the sign or the idea that we are alive. So this is what this is about. This is what we are addressing on this nature. These activities is where the norms and what we call the moral standards, that's what we call the decision making, what we call the actions or the works that we sort of put forth every day is being exhibited. And so this is what I'm trying to focus on, because that is what evidently we can talk about. We can talk about what we don't know. In fact, that's what I've stressed this one before, that my approach has nothing to do with the unknown, but the known is what I'm concerned about. In fact, that is what we should be concerned about. This is why I also see that religion is more concerned about the unknown, which they don't know. Who are they? You and I, we are human beings. We handle religion. We control religion. If we drop it, religion is nowhere. It doesn't exist. It exists because we encourage it. It exists because we open up. It exists because that neighbor or that person uses it and it benefits him. Now, if there is no religion, can that person still exist, or can that person still benefit? Of course, he can benefit. He can benefit in so many ways, because your practice is being reformed. That's all there is to it. Dropping it does not mean that you don't live life again, because you still live life. But the holding on to those old ideals is the problem. Then you are still holding on to the unknown. To be very precise, you are still holding on to the unknown. It's like holding on to the ancestral way of doing things, or your ancestral thoughts, or whatever it is, and then you are holding on to the unknown. The spirit sense comes into play. The spirit then take possession of you, takes control of your life. But if you give it up and you have reformed your life, and you personally have your abilities, being exhibited in so many ways, you are not a religious person. You will not even think about practicing anything of the old part, but you will live your own life. I hope you sort of get a picture I'm trying to put out here. You will live your own life. You're not going to stand up in the morning or wake up from your bed thinking that whatever your eyes lay on may be bad or good based on a text that has been written 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. That you're not going to base your wrongs and rights on something which has been written millions of years ago that you don't even have a clue about. You're not going to base your reasons on what your grandfather told you. No, you don't. Just as you don't need that of your grandfather, who is just probably not too long ago passed away. So don't you also need those? So in the same way, you don't need that ancestor, which is someone that you don't even have a clue what sort of person he probably was, who has said what they have said, and you fall into it and say that they had it from a divine God. You see, the God of that time, if God was there at that time, he is there today. He lives today, because the idea of God is not that God dies. God doesn't die. He's alive. So if you believe that God is alive, then what is your problem? Then why won't you allow him to speak to you? Why won't you allow him to manifest? If it is necessary for him to manifest in this stage, it's all up to him anyway. But that isn't the case. He hasn't done so. God hasn't done so purposely, maybe for a very good reason. because we can function on our own in so many ways. In fact, we have functioned all this time that my